Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Success Insight podcast. Today is Mindset Monday. You know what that means. Whenever it's Mindset Monday, we have Andrée Martin, our leadership mindset and golf performance coach, joining us. Now, Andrée is an LPGA Class A Life member, a nationally recognized top 50 golf teacher and expert, and a member of the Maine Golf Hall of Fame, recognizing golf's value as a business tool in today's competitive marketplace. Andrée works with individuals, groups, corporate, or organizational clients to create educational and team-building programs that enhance the professional success of aspiring executives. Andrée, welcome back to the Success Insight podcast.
Thank you, Howard. It's always good to be back and to share another Success Insight on our wonderful Mindset Monday.
I'm excited. And, I have to ask, as we are getting ready to record this podcast, two major events have occurred since you and I last chatted.
Indeed.
Number one is the election. Well, I know we'll get a little bit into it or the implications of it. And there was also a major golf tournament this past weekend. And, being the golf professional that you are, I'd love to get some insights from you, perhaps this episode or maybe another episode where we can talk a little bit about that, because it's 4 days of intense competition. And so people's good, bad, and ugly show up, I would imagine.
Yes, indeed. In fact, today's Mindset Monday is all about, it's not how you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And I can't help but talk about Dustin Johnson. I mean, everybody could say, yeah, he's going to win because he's number one in the world and everything else. But to me, what set it apart at this day and age more than anything else, and I actually posted it on my Facebook site, is that you had a brother and brother team. His brother was his caddy. His family was there. He lived an hour away. He dreamt all his life of winning the Masters. And there are a couple moments in there where he could have slipped, and he just stayed focused. He stayed positive. He maintained his calm about him. I mean, I can't think of a better example from a mindset perspective than how he conducted himself in this tournament. It was beautiful to see, and it brought families together at a time where COVID is challenging us all.
Even in winning, our character and how we show up as a leader, as a professional, makes or can make all the difference in the world as well. So it's not even win or lose. Your character is so incredibly important for either of those outcomes.
Yes. And I think of another great example of what you're talking about in a big buzzword right now in business through this whole 2020 years. How are you pivoting? And if you think back to the football game between the Minnesota Vikings and the 49ers, defensiveman Jim Marshall with Minnesota grabbed a loose ball that had fallen, turned and ran for a touchdown. And everybody's cheering, all excited, but he ran to the wrong end zone.
Oh, my.
Now, think of the shame and the devastation that came about from that, the fact that he lost sight of where his true end zone should have been. He was just excited he got the ball, and he was thinking he saved the team, right? And he goes in at halftime and resets. He truly pivoted, and he could have gone a different direction. And he says, wait a second, I got a choice here. In this moment, I could take on everybody just slamming me and myself and my own shame for making this huge mistake, and my teammates for that matter, right? I mean, and we look at companies when you make a big error, but he turned it around right away, played the very best second half he could, and they won. He significantly contributed to that win. He increased his concentration, he increased his focus, and he played the best game ever. And I could have totally gone over the other direction saying, oh, woe is me. I suck. This is bad. I'll never be able to regain my reputation. And instead, in one game, he shifted and pivoted in a positive direction. I just love that.
It's interesting. That event is going to live with him for the rest of his life. He's going to be on every top 10 reel on YouTube and then some. And I think people will lose sight of that contribution he made in that second half. But what's important too is, he'll know, hey, it happened. I'll get past this.
Yep. Well, he got letters of people having the courage finally to admit their own shameful experiences. He actually made it okay for people to accept and move on and regain the courage that they had lost. And how many people need that right now, right? We all need a little extra boost. In a way, since we're still talking about the Masters, while I know there are many people out there that have lost a little bit of respect for Tiger Woods, you've got to admire how he overcame all those injuries and the back injury and injuries, I should say, and foraged forward. And in that Masters, he was hit with possibility that could have spun out the other way. And he hung in there, and he stayed focused, he concentrated. And what was great is in the end, he maintained his own graciousness, which at one point in time in his career was lost. He got himself back, and people admired because it was really one of the single feats in all sports of a comeback. Pretty amazing. And it really showed the deeper character that he really had. Not to be overshadowed by this year's champion in Dustin Johnson, it in itself was pretty darn amazing. And you see that in so many different sports. Good athletes, especially like the Olympians even, they have all these injuries and they're deciding. I remember Phil Mayer slopes, all these injuries, pins in his, I think it was his knee and his ankles. And, oh gosh, do I do another Olympics? And by golly, he dug it out of the bottom of nowhere. And, I want to play. I want to play. I want to play big. I want to win. And that is the winning mindset. And that's what so many people need. It's like, okay, are you going to take control of your personal destiny? Are you going to take control of what is possible for your company, for the athletic sport that you're playing? You've got to allow, let go, and trust and go for it.
It's interesting, whether it's in business or in sports, even if we lose and even if we win, we always have to look at what can I do better? What could I have done better? What do I need to do better?
Absolutely. And you talk to any top leader in business, I guarantee you 9 out of 10 of them will say they had their biggest learnings of how to pivot forward positively from a negative happening or a misfortune or a failure within the company. I used to read stories of that time and time again. And so here we are in COVID. We're being thrown all kinds of boomerangs is the best way I can describe it, really. Curveballs, boomerangs. And business owners left and right are having to make the toughest decisions ever. And how do you do it? You got to dig deep. And don't be afraid to ask your teammates, ask your friends for the added support. Don't be afraid to ask your friends to be accountable. You and I have been great accountability partners in several different ways. And I have to honestly say that's been a big reason for both of us continuing to succeed. Both of us having to go across country through all of this and taking care of family and our own business matters. There's just a constant choice, and there's always going to be a choice. And are you going to take the road to the right, or are you going to take the road to the left? And you've got to be willing to realize there's going to be a consequence and a constant opportunity to pivot back if you realize it's the wrong road. And I don't care if you're in business or on a golf course. You have a bad shot, you're in a hazard, you have a crappy round, your putter is just falling asleep. I had that happen to me recently. It's like best part of my game. And it's like, what the heck is going on here? And all you can do in that moment is get in the flow and focus on target, which is a big part of the next episode that we're going to be talking about. But again, it's not how you win or lose, it's how you play the game. So you can get all mad and pissy and slam your club. Well, what's that doing? That's anchoring the negative. Or you say, okay, that hole's done. Next, one hole at a time, one shot at a time. Next. And maybe it's a day where you're just off. We women can have an excuse. We can call it a PMS day. But some days it's all of it. And some days it's not. And it's how we face it and pivot.
Well, that's the true character, I think, is how we act, show up, and communicate with people that love us, maybe even the folks that don't. But it's how we show up and behave. And I think at the end of the day, it's character. It's got to be character.
Every single day. It really is. And within that character, how are you taking control of your personal destiny? And that personal destiny has to do with you as a person and your business and family and faith and all that whole wheel of success and that balancing act that we go through each and every day.
Very much. I mean, and I even want to say it's part of our legacy. How do we want others to perceive us?
Absolutely.
Well, Andrée, it's been an absolute pleasure once again to have you.
Likewise, Howard.
If our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where are the best places for them to go?
Best places for them to go would be my website, www.andreegolf.com. That's Andrée with 2 E's. I have a Facebook site, YouTube site, Andrée Martin Golf, and LinkedIn and Instagram. All available.
Fantastic. We will provide all the backlinks to all of the social sites and website, and you can bet your life on that. So, Andrée, once again, thank you for joining us on the Success Insight podcast.
Thank you, Howard.
All right, folks, you have just been listening to an episode of Mindset Monday with Andrée Martin, our leadership mindset and golf performance coach. And today's conversation on Mindset Monday has been, it's not how you win or lose, it's how you play the game. So hopefully you will enjoy it and take it to heart and look at yourself and look at those around you. How are you winning and losing? And how are you playing the game? And hopefully you'll get some insights out of it from Andrée. If you would like to learn more about the Success Insight podcast and our episodes Mindset Monday, etc., you can visit us on successinsightpodcast.com. We are on Facebook and LinkedIn on our pages, Success Insight Podcast. We're on YouTube, and we're also on the major podcast platforms, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, and Amazon Music. All right. Hey, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day. Take care of yourselves, take care of your family, wear your mask, and practice social distancing. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Success Insight Podcast. Take care now.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.